Today I just want to do kind of a little blog. Um, Language learning is kind of like a window to the soul. So psychology is the same, and you could probably say the same about like philosophy, but I think that's one of the reasons I like language learning. My favorite book on linguistics was written by a psychologist who that was his primary. I think that's what got him into language study and linguistics, and it's really the same for me. I think it's fascinating. You see so much how the brain works and how humans work. In this little video, though, I kind of wanted to talk about just some tips and tricks for listening in a foreign language. Just some things that I've been doing or have done, or especially what I did today. When I was a beginner at foreign language study, all I would do is listen and just try to listen. It sounds like it's really hard when you first start a language just to actually listen. And so I would just try to really hear what I was hearing, if that makes sense. And I would also notice words that I had come across before that I knew the meaning of, or maybe I didn't know the meaning of, but I knew that I heard before. And from time to time, I would try to repeat short sections, either try to repeat while listening, which is incredibly difficult, or pause every couple seconds and try to repeat. I don't think it's helpful to do that too much, but to do it a little bit, kind of, for me, it forced my brain to say, oh, I guess I better be listening. And then afterwards, I found that I would listen better. So today, what I did was I like to listen with paper and pencil a lot of times. And so today, I listened to the same 20-minute Russian video on artificial intelligence 3 times. And the first time I listened, and I kind of listened the way like a 5-year-old would in school. I really didn't pay attention very much to what they were saying, and I just wrote down words and drew little sketches of the things they were talking about, or even just of things that I thought of while they were talking that wasn't necessarily what they were talking about. And then I listened again, and I wrote down the verbs that I heard, because for me, I like that. It's too much to try to write down every word that they say. But to just write down the verbs, I can kind of keep that pace up. I miss some of them, it's not a big deal. The point is just to focus on listening. And while I'm writing, I try to still listen and also kind of pay attention to other words that were said with that word, especially the subject and the verb. I don't catch them every time, but just the times when I do catch the subject or verb, I kind of just try to like take a mental note of it while I'm writing the word. And then I listened to it a 3rd time, and this time I did little sketches again, and I probably had, in 20 minutes, I think I had maybe 10 sketches on my page, just quick little 10-second sketches of what they were talking about, just to help my brain focus. And I would just kind of, next to the sketch, I would write probably the word that they said or the concept that they were talking about that made me think of the sketch. And then I would also write other words associated with that concept, whether they were in my sketch or not, whether they were said in the video or not. Because the point is, when you think about words, you should pull up actually like a large database of associations every time you think of a word in any language. And so this is just to help strengthen those neurons in my brain to build associations with. The picture helps me focus on the concept, and then the words that I know really well also help me focus on the concept, but the words that I know but I actually still kind of translate in my brain, or maybe I only partially understand, or they're just not on the forefront of my mind, those words don't really help me focus on the concept. But when I associate them with the words that do help me focus on the concept, I find that to be very productive and useful. If I were to go on and listen to this same little thing many more times, I might try some things like not just writing down the verb, but sometimes I like to write down the verb and the direct object. And when I do that, I obviously can't catch every verb. I can't catch every verb when I write down just the verbs. But when I do the verb and the direct object, I really just try to pick out more important ones, because I can't keep up the pace anyway. So either ones I'm not as familiar with, or ones that feel really poignant or really illustrative of the main concept of that verb, for example. Or like if there are 2 words that always go together, like Zabratit namanya means pay attention, and I never heard Zabratit by itself. I'm not sure what it means by itself. I'm sure it's used by itself, but for me those two words really belong together, and so that would be a good example where I would want to write down both words because they really go together. Another thing that I would do after getting a better understanding and listening quite repetitively is eventually I would try to get to where I take notes the way I would if I was a student in a college class, where you actually are just trying to remember the concepts and focus on the concepts, and you just write down only key principles and key words, and really just try to get the gist of the meaning that's being presented. So that's just some tips and tricks for listening I thought I'd share.